Okay, part 5 of the media vilification of Sir Lewis Hamilton at Silverstone 2021. Just before I get into this one, um, interesting article on the BBC Sport website. Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the game of football's greatest ever players. Now, given the choice out of who do I rate as being the greatest out of Messi or Ronaldo in the current era of players, even though they're towards the end of their careers, my preference would be Messi. Just prefer his style of play, love the way he kind of moves with the ball. Do I hate Cristiano Ronaldo? Absolutely not. Who's the mug if you cannot acknowledge a true great of the sport with who's accomplished what he's accomplished, the records that he's set, the accomplishments that he's managed, the dedication, the devotion, the professionalism that this guy has showed to continue performing at an elite level for so long, to a level that other players just haven't replicated. So, to those of you that don't like Cristiano Ronaldo or don't like Lionel Messi because you prefer one or the other, get over yourselves. Recognise greatness. Now, the guys are great. What's the story? He's been banned for one match for provoking fans. Provoking fans. Now, how do you provoke fans? Do you feed them with a narrative? Do you feed them with bullshit information? Do you incite them? Do you fill their minds with hatred? Do you fill them with a false narrative? Does that provoke fans? Does that provoke fans to go onto social media and target an individual? Does it provoke fans to to actually target an individual with hatred of a racist nature? Because there's a consequence for provoking fans here, and what's gone on here is that these fans chanted Messi, okay, and so the fans themselves are provoking the athlete, okay, and the athlete has responded by cupping his hand to his ear and making some sort of gesture. But the professional is the one that's at fault here, not the entitled fans who are entitled to provoke him. You know, this entitled society. It's not a two-way thing, is it? It's not. Respect doesn't work two ways. The fans are entitled to provoke the player, but the player is not allowed to react to that. He cupped his ear, made a gesture, and he's the one guilty of provoking the fans. The media, who do they provoke with their narrative? What damage does that do with what it presents to the fans to condition the minds of the fans with a false narrative, with lies, with a lack of true perspective of the actual situation? Anyway, back into what they were saying at Silverstone. So we're recapping. We've just done the Karun Chandok's analysis of the situation with the Sky Pad, where again he seems to point the finger at Lewis Hamilton, asking, did Lewis leave Max enough room, rather than stating that the person that's running the space between the two cars down is Max Verstappen with the angle that he's cutting across. He's not respecting the distance between the two cars. There's plenty of space for them two cars to make it around that bend. The person that converges and cuts that space down is Max Verstappen. Lewis is taking the line to the corner as the inside car, making it around the corner. That's what he's got to do. The car on the outside has got to leave space to allow the inside car to both make it around the corner and give space between the two cars so he makes it around the corner too. He didn't do that. He tried to chop across, expecting Lewis to back out. And he's expected that because he's gotten away with it. He's gotten away with that style of bullying driving, where he drives his car in regions or at the other car, expecting it to have to back out, because if it doesn't, there is a collision. That is where the problem is in this sport. But that has been enabled because that is the only way the sport could facilitate somebody challenging Sir Lewis Hamilton. So they enabled Max Verstappen. And they've built this little child up as being, oh, we're now witnessing the greatest we've ever seen. Utter bullshit narrative. Utter bullshit. Anyway, to recap, the message is broadcast. We've already heard Christian Horner. We've already heard Christian Horner get onto Michael Massey saying, oh, everybody knows you don't put a wheel up the inside at Cops, which is bollocks. Vilifying Sir Lewis Hamilton. From our point of view, that's entirely his fault. He's nearly put him in hospital. We're just thankful it's not worse. We then get this.
Michael, this is Toto.
Go ahead, Toto.
Michael, I just said.
Oh, we've had the Jonathan Wheatley message as well, where Jonathan, I'm very cross, Michael. The same shit. Everybody knows you don't put a wheel up the inside at that corner. Absolute bollocks. Then we get Toto.
Send you an email with the diagrams where the car should be. Did you receive that?
Toto, I don't access my emails during a race deliberately because I concentrate.
That's a completely different response to what you give Red Bull, isn't it, Michael? Understood, Christian? Understood, Christian? Yes, Jonathan. Yes, Jonathan. Yes, sir. Yes, Jonathan. Understood, Christian. Toto, I don't access my emails. Bit of a different dynamic going on there.
Concentrate on the race.
Yeah, then you should maybe look at this because there is something with the rules. I'm coming up.
Yeah, you should look at the facts. You should look at the facts as to what's going on. Compare the rules of engagement that we all know about with where these cars actually are. And actually, this bullshit that Christian's saying that Lewis, it was never his corner, it's not a place to overtake. Dismiss all that. That F1 TV shouldn't have even been making public because it's inciting the fans with false information, with a false narrative. But no, F1 TV choose to show you that. They choose to incite the strap-on fanboy with disinformation. But information that it knows is going to cause conflict. It knows is going to make social media go crazy. It knows the advertising revenue associated with social media is going to go into overdrive. The fan engagement. Let us know what you think in the comments section. All part of the fucking narrative, isn't it? Create the conflict. Watch it fucking burn and make the money off of it. Watch the people fight, and isn't it great when it makes you money?
No problem. I suggest if you want to, Toto, feel free to go upstairs and see the stewards directly.
You know, in football, where quite rightly recently there's been a huge push to stop players crowding around a referee and trying to get them to change their mind and protesting against the referee. This is beginning to look like something out of a football ground at the moment.
That's right. Let's vilify Toto Wolff for doing that, right? For trying to protect a guy that's being wrongly vilified. But we didn't say that after Christian Horner's message, and we didn't say that after Jonathan Wheatley's message. But as soon as Toto Wolff does, there's a big push to stop crowding around the referee to try and influence his decisions. Thanks for that, Jonathan. It's not Jonathan, Crofty.
Yeah, because Mercedes don't want Lewis Hamilton to get penalised, and Red Bull are desperate for him to get penalised. But what can you tell us, Ted?
Toto Wolff, the Mercedes team boss, has just sprinted past me in the pit lane. Well, in the paddock actually. He's walked out the pit lane, down past the back of the garages.
Sprinted.
Up, he actually didn't know where the race control was. I had to tell him he was about to go up to the media centre.
Fucking village idiot.
Near the podium.
He was about to go to the first floor of the paddock building. I said, no, that's where the media centre is. It's down the other end. So he didn't have that piece of
Trying to make out that Toto Wolff is the village idiot.
paper, whatever email he was going to show Michael Massey. You're right, Crofty. This is getting a little silly. I should point out. We should point out. Michael Massey is the race director. He doesn't make the decisions. It's not him. It's the stewards. I know you might have said this, Crofty, already.
No, we haven't had time to point that out.
Toto Wolff is speaking to Michael Massey, and Massey doesn't even make the decisions. What does Toto Wolff even know? Right, yeah, but why are you saying it's about Toto Wolff? You not said that about Horner. Michael Massey's not even the man that makes the decision. So why is Christian Horner speaking to him? Michael Massey's not even the one that's making the decisions. So why is Jonathan Wheatley talking to him? You don't say that though, do you? You pick on Toto Wolff. Why the pro-Red Bull agenda? What's going on there? Why is it all in favour of Red Bull? How much influence do Red Bull have over this entire fucking show?
All of these team managers trying to get another guy a penalty. The stewards this weekend are very experienced. It's Nish Shetty, Loic Bakalan, Dennis Dean, who's a British steward I know, has been around for a very long time, and the sports car ace Emanuele Pirro.
All corrupt fucks. Paid to serve the agenda of the corrupt FIA. All corrupt fucks.
These are experienced guys. They are not
corrupt fucks.
The race director. The race director is Michael Massey. So I don't really know what all these radio messages are about, trying to get another guy a penalty, because it's not Michael Massey who makes the decision in any case. Toto Wolff seems pretty cross about it. Whether he's cross, he's listening to the same Jonathan Wheatley, Christian Horner messages that you are, or just wants to make his case independently because he can see there might be a penalty coming down the road. What would that be? 5-second, maybe drive-through penalty, maybe 10-second stop-and-go penalty if they decide that Lewis Hamilton is in the wrong on this.
Look at where you're taking this. Speculating on the penalties. Maybe a drive-through penalty. What's a drive-through penalty? Maybe these are the sorts of things that lose you huge amounts of time. Why would it be that? When a guy's just cut across him, cause Lewis Hamilton to lose a place in the race because somebody's collided with him. Totally not his fault. And yet Lewis is the one that's supposedly be at risk of a penalty, and you're then listing the things that might be the penalties given out to him.
Anything is possible depending on what they think of the severity of the actual transgression rather than the consequence, which of course is very grave. A loss of potentially 25 points for Max Verstappen and potential injury to the driver. That actually doesn't.
Oh, potential injury to the driver.
Have a bearing on the penalty, does it, Crofty?
No.
The consequence. It's actually the incident itself. But Toto is on his way. I don't know what success he's going to get. We do have a red flag at the moment, but it's unusual for the stewards to decide to hear some evidence before they actually summons everybody to have a hearing.
Yeah, just to add to that.
Yeah, have we had a hearing? Did they get to summon Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen and have a hearing?
The race director can call in incidents to be looked at, can ask the stewards to look at an incident, and that's very clearly happened already.
Approximately 13 minutes to go till a resumption. Let's go to the Aston Martin pit wall now. Otmar Safnauer is with us this weekend. Otmar, a good start from your man Sebastian Vettel and from Lance Stroll as well, both picking up places. But before we talk about your team, what's your take on the accident involving Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton? Otmar, come in. I think I can hear
me?
Yes, I can, Clem Fandango. Go for it.
I was just saying I've looked at it a few times now, and to me, if that isn't a racing incident, nothing is.
That's not part of the script, Otmar. You know, can't you see the direction here? They've all got to vilify Sir Lewis Hamilton and make out as though Max did nothing wrong. Okay, so don't keep saying it like that, otherwise they'll take you off.
You know, we've often talked about, especially on the first couple of laps, allowing drivers to race for the benefit of the fans, and I think that's what happened there.
Yeah, I mean, a racing incident can be.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Brundle.
Yeah, I was talking to Michael Massey just before the start of the race, funnily enough, and he was saying that over the winter, the drivers and team principals were looking at incidents, and there was kind of a reset on this aspect that I certainly hadn't been made aware of. But did you know about that, Otmar?
No.
No, Brundle. What the fuck are you going on about?
I mean, we always review, but we've always said that, you know, especially at the beginning, we shouldn't penalize drivers for doing what they're paid to do, which is race. And to me, I mean, it was 50-50 there. It looked like Max didn't have to turn in when he did.
Max didn't have to turn in when he did. Who else has been able to identify that? All of these experts employed by Sky Sports F1. All these former drivers employed by Sky Sports F1, the sport of Formula One. Who has been able to identify that Max did not have to turn in when he did? The evidence I've showed you. Bottas, Hamilton, Silverstone 2019. Did Hamilton turn in on Bottas in the same way that Max did on Hamilton at Silverstone 2021? No, he didn't. Did Daniel Ricciardo turn in on Lando Norris in the same way that Max Verstappen did on Lewis Hamilton at Silverstone 2021? No, he didn't. And yet, the sports broadcasters, the experts, the former drivers, they couldn't identify that to you. Bit of a problem, really, isn't it? That's because there's an agenda that they're serving. That is to boost Max Verstappen and to vilify and discredit Sir Lewis Hamilton. Because you're filthy bastards.
Lewis could have been a bit further to the right, but to me, 100% racing incident.
Meanwhile, Otmar, you're in the pit lane. The two cars have both made up places. Is there a need at all to change tyres, to think about a different strategy after what for your team has been a decent start?
Now we've had a good start here, and if we can repeat it, wouldn't that be nice? Move up a little bit further.
I'm sure there would be a lot of celebrations at HQ tonight. Not far to go either. We'll be back with you in a while. Thanks ever so much to Otmar Safnauer. And as I say, until the resumption of this race, now round about 10 minutes to go. So the cars are all lined up in the pit lane. Damage can be repaired, and Lewis Hamilton, we've seen on his front wing and to parts of his bodywork, there is damage on that Mercedes car. By the looks of it, the Alpines got a little bit tasty at the start of this race as well. They might be wanting to check over their cars, but it's so early in the race, Martin. Can't see anyone thinking about changing tyres, changing strategy at this moment in time.
No. Well,
you know, the strategy that was for a race distance of 52 laps. But Lewis's strategy could only have worked if he'd have made the pass on lap 1, yeah? Yeah.
We did see some hard tyres being prepared for Mercedes when they thought Lewis might pit under the safety car, but just as well he didn't, actually, isn't it? Otherwise, with the red flag, he'd have been at the back of the pack as well. But we'll see what they choose to do. They do have freedom on that now in red flag situation. The race will resume at 15:42 local time here at Silverstone,
where we have a red flag for a lap 1 accident for the 4th time. It happened in 73, 99 and 2014, which I remember well. Kimi Raikkonen going into the barriers. I had tickets for Metallica that night, and I was a bit worried I was going to miss the start.
Who'd have thought they'd got red flags that had occurred in the past? Who'd have thought that they'd have deployed the safety car in the past? And amazingly, when we got to Abu Dhabi 2021, nobody knew what could happen during a safety car situation. Oh, what's going to happen now? How long will they wait? Are they going to let the laps runners through? It's not mandatory. I don't think. No, that's what happens when you're lying, Martin. It is mandatory. I don't think, but that's usually on a wet day in Spa. No, that's usually when they gift the victory to Max Verstappen for staging a 2-lap parade, where no real sport takes place. But they didn't want to refund the crowd, so they paraded the cars in front of them for 2 laps and went, well done, you've just seen a race, you gullible twats. But we'll tell you that Max won, and you'll all go away happy, because you're all strap-on fanboys. But I digress. Let's get back to Silverstone, where Martin is chatting shit again.
Start of the concert. Luckily, I got there in time, Martin, and we had a great race.
Punched a hole in the barriers, didn't he? But the race has to be within 2 hours in a 4-hour period. But it's always a very fast race here anyway, isn't it? Because it's such high speed. So that tends not to be a problem, assuming we...
It's a such high speed race, and Lewis has got his car set up for straight line speed. Oh, that would be a good thing to have around here this afternoon, wouldn't it? Like Lando's McLaren in Austria, which you stated would be a good thing. But unless he gets past Max on that first lap, then, his strategy's bollocks, isn't it?
We have no further red flags.
And don't rule that out. Damon Hill is with us. We have so many world champions with us this weekend.
So much expertise. Let's listen to what Damon's got to say.
It's great to get your view, Damon. We've heard from Mercedes, we've heard from Red Bull, we've heard from Otmar, Safnar and Aston Martin, we've heard from Jenson Button. What's your take on this accident?
Well, my take is arguably more exciting the half a lap we got of the main Grand Prix than it was of the sprint yesterday. But it was all packed into a very short run, and we saw a level of aggression, I think, from Lewis that we're not used to seeing.
Lewis was aggressive, was he? Lewis was the aggressive one. So Lewis wasn't the one that went off track early on in the lap. Lewis wasn't the one that had to back out at turn 6. And Lewis wasn't the one that chopped across the other car expecting it to yield, but Lewis is the aggressive one. Thanks for that, Damon.
For a while, I'm thinking back to Barcelona with Nico and himself and all that fairly uncompromising stuff.
You don't have to think back that far. You can think back to Barcelona this year, 2021, earlier this year that we're in of this Grand Prix, where Max at turn 1 just sent it up the inside, and had Lewis not have deviated his line, there would have been a crash. You can think back to Imola, where Max ran Lewis off the track at that chicane. They're the only ones you have to think about to see the pattern that's going on here.
And Lewis very, very much on the attack, and Max would have felt that Lewis was not going to give up any room, but he had to turn in for Cox eventually, so I think that this is a very high level of aggression and attack from Lewis. Sadly, he's kept it on the inside and really banked on Max backing out of it, which he didn't do. So I'm going to come down a little bit on the racing incident side of things, but I can't see how they can't give Lewis a penalty because he.
You know what? I'm gonna say it's a racing incident, but I can't see why they can't give Lewis a penalty. Why would that be? If he's done nothing wrong, if he's on the inside line, if he's more than halfway alongside on entry to a corner, entitled to be there, and the other car's then not made allowance for him being there and tried to drive across him and cause a collision, why would Lewis Hamilton get a penalty for that?
He's caused the accident. He himself could have backed out of Cox corner. I think that was a very ambitious move.
You think Lewis could have backed out? Why would he back out? He's over halfway alongside, going into the braking zone of a corner. He's entitled to be there. Why would you then back out? The other car has to yield. The other car has to make allowance for the fact that you're there. Why should it be Lewis always having to back down to a bully? You're validating the bully because you're paid to validate the bully, because that's what this sport wants you to do. We'll validate this boy that's, he's uncompromising, he's aggressive. Oh, wow, you'll love this, kids. You'll get excited by this. You'll love that, won't you? But everybody else, you've got to back down to that. No.
And the consequences were quite serious, and I think.
But we're not judging it on the consequences. We've already been established that. It's not about the consequences. It's about the incident and who was at fault for the incident. What subsequently happened, well, if you end up fucking yourself up as a result of your misconduct on track, well, that's on you then, isn't it?
As somebody already said, Max looking at him going into the barriers there, it could have been a lot worse, and he's lucky to be walking out of that. I think he's probably a bit concussed, though.
Well, I would imagine he'll feel it tomorrow morning, certainly. Damon, thanks ever so much. We're just
thanks for that, Damon.
Watching the start, and in a few moments we'll get another restart here with Charles Leclerc leading the British Grand Prix. Now, Charles Leclerc, of course, led the first lap at...
So, Max crashes into Lewis. Lewis loses a place to Charles Leclerc. Lewis then gets given a 10-second penalty as well. Saudi. Max leaves the track, comes back on the track in an unsafe manner, causing Lewis to have to deviate, losing a place to Esteban Ocon. Happy days.
Baku, just a few races ago, returns to Silverstone, where Of course, he took his last podium in Formula One, but his lead in Baku lasted precisely one lap before he was overtaken by Max Verstappen. Be interested to see how aggressive Mercedes go and how soon they want to try and get past the Ferrari here this afternoon. Leclerc, Hamilton, Bottas, Norris and Ricciardo the top five, and this is the view of the accident that Valtteri Bottas would have seen from his position in third place, and the red flag that swiftly followed afterwards. That's Valtteri's car sat in the pit lane, and that's Toto Wolff, after being given instructions on where to go by Ted Kravitz in a nice way, making his way to race control. The media centre is about 150 metres away from race control. Ted, well done for pointing him in the right direction.
No, that's him leaving race control,
Oh, is it?
Crofty. Yeah, he's coming down the stairs and then back into the pit lane. If you're watching the same shot that I'm watching, well,
no,
actually, I'm not watching anything because I'm in the pit lane. Is that him going up the stairs or coming down the stairs?
Looked like he was going towards right. the stewards' room, to me.
All right, well, he has now, can I update you now?
Yes.
He has now left. So we've had Horner and Wolff. We've had the two team bosses from the two warring championship teams. The drama couldn't be any higher, really, here.
The war, the drama, create conflict. What does it do? Sends social media into a frenzy. What does that do? Creates clicks. What do advertisers want? Advertisers want to be put in front of an active audience so they get their products seen by people. What does that cause? Revenue. Money. Cha-ching. Manufactured. Drama. Conflict. Inciting conflict.
At Silverstone, Toto Wolff, Toto Wolff, Christian Horner, the managers, they've been up to see the fourth official, if you like. Well, it's four officials, isn't it? The four stewards. We have no idea what response they've got. I did doorstep Christian Horner with an, excuse me, Christian, can you come over here? Like those people who shout things at politicians going into number 10. But just like those politicians going into number 10, he
They're all corrupt.
completely ignored me and went back into the pit lane and onto the Red Bull pit wall. I can understand why. He's got things to do. He's got a race to run with Sergio Perez from the back of the field, and he's got Max Verstappen. Well, he's got to try and, for his position, maybe, I don't know, what do you call it, achieve justice for Max Verstappen being out of this.
Achieve justice for Max Verstappen. These things hit with people, don't they? Achieve justice for Max Verstappen. Get into the mind of the fanboy. Yes, there's an injustice, so we need justice.
This race, but listen, I think it will go to the stewards now. We're going to have a hearing. They're going to have a hearing with Lewis Hamilton, you would presume, having had all these deputations from Wolff, Horner and everybody, and we'll know sometime this evening.
Looking at the diagram that
We'll know sometime this evening. Oh, now here we go. Brundle's now looking at the diagram. Let's see if Brundle can look at the diagram, cross-reference the diagram with the footage, the tangible information with which to assess that these stewards have access to, and these diagrams to make an informed decision. Let's listen to what Brundle has to say. The former racing driver himself, the expert of the sport. Let's see if Brundle can interpret simple diagrams and cross-reference them with reality.
I believe Toto was referring to on the regulations, I've got a copy of actually for the first time, but it's all about, was there enough overlap? Was he far enough alongside to have earned the right to pass into that corner? And there was a significant overlap, as we know, and that will be the key. Obviously, by the time they got to the apex, Lewis was backing out of it. Max, with the mirrors these cars on.
By the time they got to the apex, Lewis was backing out of it. Where was the collision, Martin? Where was the collision? Was the collision before the curbing? Have you been able to identify that? What we do? Oh, this will be the key. This will be what they will be deciding over. Are you not able to make a decision, Martin? Are you not able to look at the factual information, cross-reference that with the diagrams, and explain to the viewer what is truly going on? You haven't done it yet, have you? What's going on there? Why are you speaking narrative? oh, I daren't say this because maybe this isn't what they want me to say. I can't speak facts, I can't speak truth. They want me to vilify Hamilton and support Max. We can't paint Max as ever doing anything wrong. So I'll just have to word this as though, oh, they'll be looking at whether it's this or whether it's that or whether it's the other. But I can't tell you whether it's this or that or the other. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Right, this one's gone on for long enough. It will continue.